All right. Habit, skills, attitude for July 27th, Tuesday. Just as Brian said, we're going to touch on how to follow up with group enrollments. That meaning you walked into a business, small or large, and you spoke to 3, 5, 10, 30, 100 different people. And when uh, handing out the cards, and guys, the cards look like this. If you have not seen these, please get with your direct manager and grab some because they work tremendously when you are presenting to businesses and especially to their employees. So I'm not going to touch so much on how to demonstrate um, our policies to businesses and people, but more or less just to follow up after somebody has filled out a card. So anytime you have somebody fill out a card, whether it's one person or everybody, um, sometimes following back up with them is the trickiest part. We all have things to do outside of work. We're all more distracted than ever, just with children, social media, things that you think you need to get to and do. And a lot of times you can just kind of forget. And so just as we lay out the rules of the game, as Van would say, during our buying atmosphere, when we're finishing up a presentation and we're kind of explaining the rules of the game on how we're going to follow up with these folks, it's very important to be very, very clear, very assumptive. And then, guys, always knowing that these cards, there's a shelf life to them, meaning if somebody fills this out on Monday, you have until approximately maybe Thursday or Friday to get with them before these things self-detonate. Just imagine these things as a ticking time bomb, and that if you don't catch up with these folks, the odds of getting back in front of that person and those folks still having that same emotion as when you were standing up and explaining the importance of what we do is very highly unlikely. Now, it can happen, but you have to be very, very strategic with it. So, guys, when wrapping up a presentation, and I'm just explaining how you get all your money back, return a premium, I start to hand out the cards. And while handing out the cards for them to fill out, and I suggest that you also carry pens with you. A lot of times you'll hand cards out and people are just, patting their pockets for pens. It's nice to have a pack of pens with you just so, hey, there's no, again, objection there. Oh, I don't have a pen. No, you got one right here. Fill it out. So explain the rules of the game. Guys, I'm going to hand these cards out real quick. And when I do so, please fire some questions to me. I welcome questions. Questions are good. We can knock out some of those right now. As you hand these out and people heads are down and, they're writing, you might get some questions on like, well, how much does this cost? Or what are the limitations and exclusions? And of course, you'll cover all these. Hey, if you've gone through cancer within the last 10 years, we can't really help you unless it's non-melanoma skin cancer and, so on. Heart plan, you got to have a clean heart, no stents, no heart attacks, no strokes, no AFib. So guys, again, the hardest part of my job is not finding folks to afford this. It's just getting in front of you while you're healthy enough to qualify. So guys, fill out the cards. And like I said, I'll scoop these up in just a couple minutes. When you go and scoop these up, all right, when you have all of the cards back in your hand and you're thanking everybody, hey guys, thank you so much again for your ears. Thank you so much for your time. Not the best subject, but again, this stuff happens. And if I can ever help, awesome. If not, no big deal. But I'm going to follow up with you. All right, guys, and this is when you start explaining the rules of your game. Because again, a lot of us have lifestyles. We have families. We have children. And we can't sit here and just open up our schedule for 60 hours a week all the time to, hopefully get back in front of these folks. You kind of want to squeeze your schedule down, make yourself not so available so that when you tell these folks, hey, I'm going to call you in the morning. In fact, guys, what I actually do is text people first. I have a 704 number. Meanwhile, I live in a 910 area code. For all fairness, I send them my professional contact. Guys, if you don't have a professional contact, do so. Just take a headshot of yourself, Globe Life Family Heritage, put your Protect One Family email, Schneider email, and probably a link to Globe Life Family Heritage. Just make a nice contact for yourself. So when you give people a heads up, you shoot them a contact, and then you say, hey, this is, Brian Glazinski with Globe Life Family Heritage spoke to you last night at whatever fire department, or I spoke to you at Aaron's or at First Bank, whatever it was. I'm going to reach out to you in the next 15 minutes to check your availability. And then when you do that, call them in 15 minutes. It already shows them, hey, I'm a man of my word. I'm a woman of my word. I called you when I said I was going to call you. Also let them know, hey, I'm going to call you. And if you don't pick up, no big deal. Just try to get back to me within the next 12 hours or so. And if I don't hear from you, just understand, I'll try you again the next day. Okay. And if I miss you for whatever reason again, all right, guys, I know you're busy. I will try you one more time. Guys, after the third time, I kind of have to move on. How many of you love your family, love your kids? I do. Yeah. So just understand, I love hanging out with them, and I'm a father, I'm a mother first. And guys, I want to get back in front of you and share with you your options for your family. And like I said, if it works, great. If it's not, it's no big deal at all. Just when I call, please do me a favor and pick up. Guys, that's all you can do. You do not want to sit there and continuously call potential prospects, folks that have filled out a card, because after a while, you're a nuisance. A lot of people are not going to pick up the phone and be like, hey, man, I'm not interested anymore. Some will, most won't. Now you look like somebody who's very needy, somebody who's very desperate, commission breath. But that's why it's so important to fill up your pipeline and have just a very abundant pipeline of other businesses and other companies that you're working with, other people, so you can have a big old stack, okay, of folks to follow up with. Another suggestion, if you're not using Sales Rabbit, you're shooting yourself in the foot, okay? Every single night every single day when I get these cards back, when I get back home, I punch the addresses into my Sales Rabbit manually. And I usually pin them with the 5 p.m., the navy blue one, because a lot of these folks, especially like firemen, I'm going to catch them outside of work after 5 p.m. That helps me see on a map where these folks are located. And when I certainly, and here's another idea, if you're having trouble catching up with them, via text message or phone call, guys, don't be afraid just to pull into the driveway. If you are driving, first of all, 25, 30, 45 hour away from your house, we don't want to come back empty-handed, right? A lot of us, came back yesterday empty-handed GAP-wise, but guess what? In the meantime, we had a ton of demos. We had a ton of referrals and a lot of contacts. So momentum has already been started. This is kind of the same thing. You want to make sure that you're making the most of your time and their time. A lot of people forget, again, because they're so busy doing other stuff. It's not that they don't want to talk to you. It's just they're sidetracked. Oh, I got to mow the yard. I got to get this done by 7:30 because then I got to help little Johnny with his homework, whatever it might be. He's got t-ball practice. Daughter's got dance recitals. Everybody's got something going on. So we got to find that window and try to make it happen for them and let them know, hey, I'm going to reach out 3 times. After that is, it's no big deal. I got to kind of move on. So you're laying out the guidelines. It's like getting to the end of, closing, but you haven't explained to them, hey, if you can do me a favor, just let me know yes or no today. All right. Do you know I asked for that favor? All right. So guys, always make sure that you're explaining how you're going to follow up. Now, going back to Sales Rabbit, once you put the address in there, it works beautifully, because what I'll do, if I know where somebody lives and I'm getting towards the end of the day, let's say 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm like, man, I'm about to head back. If it's not too far off the beaten path, I'm just going to ride by their house. And especially if I see, their cars in the drive, I'm going to knock on the door. And I'm going to open up my Sales Rabbit and be like, John, Miss Jones, whoever. Hey, Zach, I met you at the, library, the other day. I did a presentation for goodies, whatever. Listen, I was just coming from so-and-so. I'm on my way back home. I just happened to see you live here. Guys, if you'll pull out Sales Rabbit and use that almost in every single approach, it, one, shows that you're professional. You're using a CRM. You're using something that is very sexy. It looks good, right? And that way we explain to them, hey, this keeps me from driving all over the country, trying to, track down people who are interested, open to looking at our coverages and potentially getting their families protected. So it's very simple, guys. Lay out the rules of your time frame, because otherwise you'll be spinning plates all day long and you'll get frustrated. Every single person on this Zoom right now has been frustrated, and you'll continue to get frustrated. But once you start to realize how much money you make, a lot of you guys need to work another 6 months to a year before that, formula shows you really what you're worth. And you'll start to guard your time a little bit more instead of making yourself so available. So I know I'm getting a little bit repetitive, but any questions, takeaways, Brian, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I definitely have some notes here, Zach. I mean, that was awesome. I think that's something that, I mean, if you've been here for over a month and you've done a group enrollment, we've all experienced the cards that just, stockpile in your car because you can't get in touch with those people. So, I mean, just a couple key things that I took from that. The cards have a shelf life, right? Generally 2 to 3 days. So if you do a group enrollment, don't expect just because they said yes on that card that you can take a week or just come back whenever you want to follow up with them. I mean, really, guys, 2 to 3 days is basically all those cards last, if even that. Zach, I like how you said at the very end, the hardest part of my job is not finding people who can afford this. It just really takes the pressure off. Like, everyone listening to that, it's like, oh wow, like, it seems like I can definitely afford this. Like, that's not the issue, right? Explain the rules of the game. I'll text you in the morning at this time. Just be very specific. And I mean, these are just a couple takeaways that I had, but I guess just adding to that, guys, I mean, again, don't be afraid to show up. If you explain the rules to the game, so to speak, like Zach mentioned, we're being very fair with that. We're being very upfront that, we're going to send you a text the very next day. Please get back to me within 12 hours. If for whatever reason I still don't hear from you, I'll call you one last time. And guys, if I don't hear from you on the second day, unfortunately, I'm going to have to move on because we have, whatever the business you're in, whether it's a fire department or an EMS station or a Dollar General or whatever it may be, just let them know. And hopefully, you're at the point where you're kind of lasering the approach, saying that you work with a bunch of Dollar Generals in the area, or you work with a bunch of fire departments in the area. You're being very specific with the business that you are approaching, making it seem like you literally work with all of the fire departments or all of the schools or all of the daycares, right? So when you're in an enrollment, it just sounds appropriate to say, guys, like, I have 3 days here with you guys, and just put that sense of urgency on that. I have 3 days here. So over the next couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to do my very best to work around all of your guys' schedule, each and every one of your guys' schedules. But unfortunately, after Wednesday, I start another enrollment. Even if you guys don't, but just put that sense of urgency on, like, you're not going to be lingering around for weeks at a time. Just let them know, guys, like, hey, I have until Wednesday to try my best to work around everyone's schedule. And then after that, we have multiple enrollments starting on Thursday again. So I'm going to be in a different area. Don't be afraid to say that. Again, just make yourself always seem busy. People like doing business with people who are busy, right? So definitely with the follow-up. And if you have, I kind of have like a 3-strike rule for myself where I'll reach out to them, send them a text first, call them, the next day. If I still don't hear back from them by the end of the day, I'll call them and text them again the very last time. And if for whatever reason I still don't hear from them, then I'll try to show up. And kind of as a last resort, I'll always say this is kind of one final buying atmosphere, kind of closing out, moving on text. I'll say something along the lines of, if this is like my 3rd time trying to reach out to them, and let's just say I try stopping in at their house, and I can't catch them the first time or the second time. It's just, you don't want to exhaust yourself, guys, by trying to chase after people. But again, kind of have like a 3-strike rule. at least attempt, if you're in the area, to drive by. If you, especially Zach, that was a huge point there. Those are definitely like buying signs. If you see two cars in the driveway, if you see the light on, if you see the door partially open, guys, that just means they're generally open-minded. And I promise you, that's coming from someone who spent the first probably 3 to 6 months in this business strictly doing residential. And Zach, I'm not sure if you did as well, but I was trained by Kyle, guys, in this business in the very beginning, and I did residential. I was literally out there knocking on doors. And if you haven't went out there and knocked on a door, you haven't lived life. It's you're not living. So guys, get out there. Don't be afraid of it. Just be respectful, again, but those are buying signs. If you drive by and you see two or more cars in the driveway, a porch light on, if it's, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and the door is like open, they're open-minded. Go up there and just knock on it. Be like, hey, I'm so sorry to pop in. Listen, hopefully you remember me. I'm Brian. And guys, they're going to know who you are, right? Like, you made a difference in their life. They're going to remember you. But hey, I apologize to stop by. Listen, you must be one of the hardest working families out here, because you seem to be super busy. And I was actually just catching up with so-and-so and so-and-so right down the road. And I couldn't help but notice that I saw two cars in the driveway, and wanted to see if I can, just sit down with you for a quick minute and just follow up with you. But if for whatever reason, guys, that third time it doesn't work, or you can't catch them at the house, this is kind of my one final buying atmosphere, one closing out text, which is simply, hey, Zach, it's Brian from Family Heritage. I know life happens and people get busy. I never want to be the guy that keeps calling or texting. If you still want information, please help me to get something on the calendar. If not, that's totally fine too. I can cross you off my calendar. Thanks either way. Do you still want more information? ? Guys. And if they're either going to respond to that or they're not, but a lot of times people will respond, and it might not be hey, I definitely want information, but they'll tell you something. They'll give you closure at the very least, and say something like, oh my gosh, Brian, I've been so busy. But yeah, after talking to my husband, we realized that this isn't a fit for us. And it's like, perfect. Hey, thank you so much for letting me know. And just leave it at that, guys. Move on. But it's like, us as salespeople, we want that closure, right? Like, again, we say it over and over again. We love hearing a yes. We can totally handle a no, because it just means we can move on. What eats us up and just, deflates us is the maybes, or the ghosting. So that's all I'll add to it, but great content, Zach.
Brian, that was tremendous. And I actually, I love that line you just sent, kind of the last attempt. I do somewhat the same way. And guys, these are all just ideas. Brian have done this incorrectly more times than we've done correctly, just figuring it out over the last, 5.5, 6 years. There's no wrong way. The most important part is to make the attempt, do your job, which is you're licensed by the state to follow up with these folks who wanted information. And these cards, that's what they say. This is like an admission ticket for you to go and see them. One thing I will just add on one more time is who to start with. If you have 10 cards, 20 cards, well, who does the first one you want to contact? It's easy to go with just the first card on top, but you kind of want to be a little bit strategic. And I would say individuals or single parents, preferably single parents. Why? They need this coverage more than anybody. There's no backup plan for them because there's no spouse. There's no somebody else there to help them out if something happens to them or their children. And also individuals, and preferably younger. Guys, when people start buying or at least sitting down with you, they're talking. Man, how much is that insurance? Like, that guy come by and talk to you, that girl come by and talk to you, how much is it? And if you sold Bobby, who is 64 years old, or didn't sell him, but he looks at his premiums, his options, he's going, man, that stuff was $280. All right, for him and his wife. But meanwhile, for little Johnny, who's 31 years old, it's only, $70. So kind of be careful who you start following up with first. Now, sometimes you don't have an option. You're just trying to follow up with anybody. and that's okay. But if you're in a business, kind of strategically think about, okay, I want some momentum. These cards and following up with the business, it's all about momentum. You know, can I get these people excited? And while I'm here, keep them excited. And usually start with people that are going to be kind of no-brainers. Now, they still might tell you no, but at least when Nancy, who's 51, leans over to Abby, who's 28, and goes, "How much was that stuff?" She's not going, "Man, it was super expensive." Well, no, to her it was super cheap. And and Rhonda, who's older, can kind of jump on something that it's not our fault that she signed up when she was in her 50s or 60s. It's just it is what it is. That's her age category as of today. So, Brian, that was a great piece right there. Thanks for adding that, last part, because again, sometimes you just want to throw these cards in the trash. And guys, after about, so long, I would probably encourage you to do that. Now, I carry a shoebox in my car. Okay, guys, to put all the cards that I've never followed up with back in there, it's a lot of dead weight. I probably should get rid of it, but my wife is actually working on a CRM for myself personally to put in emails, because a lot of these cards have emails information, and it might be a little bit tedious and not to be done during income producing hours during the week, but little by little, I'm going to put in a lot of this stuff into a CRM to automatically shoot out emails every 3 months, 6 months, just to keep, hey, Zach, my insurance man, Tolbert, he's still out there. He's still doing this thing and protecting families. And, again, don't take it personal. People get busy. My, what would you call a retire account person, whoever does my retirement accounts, he got referred to me through Kyle. Over a year, I put him off. He contacted me. I put him off. Over a year, I put him off. And then finally we got together, and now he takes care of my retirement accounts. And it's not that I didn't like the guy or I didn't want to be sold. I was just busy. So guys, don't get too deflated by it. People get busy, but if you want to, get some GAP for that week, see them right away. All right. While the emotion is still there. So guys, any takeaways, questions before we hop off here? 3, 2, 1. Guys,
always such an easy crowd.
Yeah, but easy crowd. Guys, I appreciate it. I know some of that was a little bit repetitive, but just understand it is what it is. And, you're still going to have those frustrations. But if we can help, close that number by 5%, in the right direction, then great. But guys, have a phenomenal day. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. And leave people better than you found them. Love you guys.
Great job, Zach. Bye, guys.
Good brother.
Hey, Zach, you still
Yes,
here?
sir. Yeah.
Hey, would you mind dropping that last line you had in the Voxer? That last reach out or something?
Yeah. I'll type it up.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
I was going to say, Brian, that's great. And guys, here's another thing you can do, and it's a little more intimate. Make a video.
Yep.
All right, just put video on and of yourself. Hey, because sometimes they forget who you are and what you look like. Seeing a person, whether it's in person or on video, it's a little more real. It's a little more sincere. Hey, Bobby, I know you're busy. You got a ton going on. Listen, I'm going to be in the area this evening. Just want to kind of give you one more shot to get up with me. And, that way you can ask me some questions face to face. Let me know if that works for you or not. It's just, there's so many different techniques nowadays to communicate with people. So it doesn't hurt to try them all. But yeah, Brian, if you can put that in Voxer, that'd be awesome.
Will do. All right.
All right,
bye, guys.
fellas, ladies.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Later.